The fundamentals. The harder you work on them, the better you get. That's why at Raytheon Company, we admire people like Wade Boggs. People who are dedicated to perfecting the fundamentals, practicing them over and over and over until they're flawless. At Raytheon, we do the same thing. Because in electronics, aviation, appliances, and energy, we believe quality starts with fundamentals.
Everybody, it's September 14th, 2017. Welcome to WikiLeaks on Weed.
Pretty sure it's the 24th, but you know.
What did I say?
Whatever. You said the 14th.
Oh, yeah.
But it's good.
Good start. I meant it's September 24th, and football season is ablaze right now. So I think, you know, we called in some sports correspondents. We have our resident sports expert with us. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, the guest?
Hey everyone out there, this is Michael Hunt, happy to be on, talking to these two great fellows, so yeah, I want to talk some NFL, some sports, and everything that's happening today and this weekend.
And how Trump stuck his nose in the NFL's business and what this is actually going to mean. We were just kind of looking up online, you know, that some of the revenues for some of the TV companies, they said from 1% to 8% they've been taking a hit in viewership, right?
Yeah, that's what I just read. The stocks for the companies that broadcast the NFL games, the NFL is not a publicly traded stock, but the TV networks are, and like CBS and Disney and Fox and one other one, is between 1% and 8% in stock drops now because of this. So this is 8% is a big ass drop in like a week.
Well, 1% to 8% is also a pretty big range.
That's as of today, or?
Yeah, that's what I saw today. It was a New York Post article, which is, you know, the New York Post, but I think that's a verifiable number.
Well, it's 1% to 8% is kind of a large range, but I mean, obviously all the companies aren't the same. So I mean, there was probably one company though that was at 8%, which is that's crazy, and it's just why would he take that stance, you know, when people are kind of just making their own issue for social justice? You know, they have the platform. These are multi-million-dollar athletes that are trying to follow a message that we see, and he has to say that they're all a bunch of sons of bitches?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Michael, why don't you just start us off with just the history of politics in sport and in football in particular, because, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know if this is has a story tradition here, but I might be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I know of, you know, professional players, not just only in the NFL, but, you know, in all pro sports leagues, dipping their toe into politics. And, you know, there was a basketball player who was either a senator or, I mean, there's examples of people, professional athletes who then went into
Bill Bradley,
politics.
was it?
There you go, Bradley. Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that can happen, and, you know, if it's a particular interest to them. But, I mean,
Mike, you don't think we've ever seen anything like this before, though, right? As far as this jumps out to me as being, you know, fairly glaring as like a, you know, a president sort of telling owners that they should fire these guys and whatnot.
Oh, yeah, for him to come out and say that, I mean, look, it's not like I'm like over being shocked at the things that he says, but it's definitely, it's still shocking to hear him say things like that. You know, he's just lots of loose talk, and, you know, it's just crazy. I mean,
we were laughing about it a little bit, where it was like, did he literally think that what he said in Alabama was going to stay in Alabama? Like, it just seems like, well, I don't even see what the political move was.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he's just, he definitely seems, or from everything that I've read and know about him, he consumes media, a lot of media. So I think part of it is just like him weighing in on, like you just said before, like they're already down viewership 1 to 8% or whatever that was. And, a lot of that is from all the CTE stuff, right?
What's that?
And, what's that?
That's CTE.
The CTE is, that's the traumatic brain injuries that come from repetitive hits.
Oh, that's interesting.
And there's a huge class action lawsuit going on right now with the Players
Right,
Association
so,
in the NFL.
I forget who did the study, what university or...
Will Smith made a movie on it.
Yeah, there was that movie too. But and it was 99%. It was like, what was it, like 110 of 111 brains of former, I don't know if it was just NFL players or NFL and college players or like semi-pro. I think it was all NFL players donated their brain, and it was 99% of them came back with either CT in one form or another, advanced stages or whatever. And then I think another thing that happened recently in not like the 24-hour news cycle, but like in the past couple days is they did that story on Aaron Hernandez.
Yep.
So it came out that he had very advanced stages of CTE.
Yeah, he had stage 3 CTE. But there were some weird claims where it was like, he's the only person his age to ever have this, where he may be the only brain that they've ever studied at being 27.
Well, he had similar damage to somebody that was much older.
Yes, but he smoked a lot of PCP, so who the fuck knows?
Yeah, I was going to say, that was the thing I heard. I heard that he was, the things that drove it, he had more than one reason why he was crazy,
Yes.
I think environment, he grew up, I think his father was killed or something, or just passed away when he was young, and then like his family or those very close to him were involved in gangs, and maybe he wasn't or whatever, and then just like loved guns and loved shooting them at people.
Yes.
out in public, not a good idea.
And also the claim that he was bisexual and it was
gay, at the end, or gay for the stay at the end and whatnot, but
so he was tortured. He was tortured by his sexual desires.
So we have a history then of players becoming politicians, and as you brought
some
up,
Jesse Ventura, other guys. Oh, did he play in the NFL? No, he didn't, but he was still.
He was a wrestler, but he was also a professional athlete of some sort before he was a wrestler.
I think he did play football.
I feel like he did.
But yeah, no, a lot of guys. I mean, even O.J. Simpson kind of didn't go political, but he became more of a spotlight figure before his obvious demise.
Yeah.
And there's other, Jim Brown became, very political, very sort of an activist after kind of playing the life of.
Point is that it was just a casual foray from sports to politics, and then, given this is something that happened, I think before the Kaepernick kneeling was before the Trump presidency.
Correct.
Right.
And it was having to do. We had a climate of police brutality, and the first official taking of the knee was one person, and it was Colin Kaepernick at a game to protest against police brutality, and that's what sort of kind of got this ball slowly
Yes,
rolling.
he was the one and only at the beginning.
Okay.
Yes.
And then I think one or two of his teammates on the 49ers joined him, like, either the second week he did it or something like that. But yeah, then obviously it evolved, and now it's
he was
everywhere.
Ostracized from the league.
I know.
Yeah. So talk about that a little bit.
I mean, so there's a conversation going on, a debate going on. It's like, is he good enough to still play in the NFL? Or is he being ostracized or blacklisted from the league because of the political stance, Now, I saw him play, like, in his rookie year, and he took his team to the Super Bowl, I think, in his first or second year. And he was pretty damn good. And, statistically, if you stack up his stats against some of these, like, backups in the NFL, because I think there's, 30 teams in the NFL?
32, yeah.
Okay, so you have a starter on each team and a backup on each team, and maybe even a third quarterback. So in other words, you're going to have like 60 to 80, maybe 90 individuals that can play, or they deem them
Correct.
pro quarterbacks, right? Is he one of them? And I mean, I think that he is.
I think the argument is him being at least a backup for a team is almost, it's ridiculous to even argue that. Yes, he is he would be a better backup than all the other backups. I mean, it's a more realistic argument is if, maybe he couldn't start. I mean, I think that he kind of became that, he came out, he was a rookie sensation, and that second year he was really strong again, but the NFL does kind of catch up to players if they can't change. I don't know how skilled he was at being able to read defenses and get to that level of the NFL, but it's pure skill for sure. Like, he would definitely be my backup if.
Yeah, and he adds like a whole different wrinkle to like an offense where he's kind of like Russell Wilson, or actually I think they were drafted in the same year or in 1 year of each other, where they can run and he's extremely mobile, like way different than like Tom Brady. Like he can run.
Yes. If he breaks contain, he can take it. Yes.
Yeah. But I mean, it's interesting to see. It's like, or to think about like, okay, so was he maybe blacklisted by like some owners around the league? But then today happens, and you have a lot of support from some ownership and some teams around the league. In support of what all the players are now doing, which he started.
Wait a minute.
Kaepernick started.
I just figured it out. This was Trump's plan. Trump actually really just wanted to get Kaepernick's job back. Because think about it.
Okay.
Now the NFL might want to just put Kaepernick back on a roster. One of these owners might just say, we gave millions of dollars apparently to, or a lot of them did, to his campaign, and now he's kind of slapping them in the face, sort of with this. This is what you should do with your billion-dollar company.
Totally.
That maybe now they'll put him back on the roll just to spite him, and maybe that was Trump's plan. Because he is an evil genius. Just kidding, everyone. Just fucking kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's a really long way around, getting that accomplished. But, so Trump, it's so crazy to think about, but I saw some documentary on him, a while ago, and I read about it too, but he tried to create, or he did create, a competing pro football league or semi-pro football league to compete against the NFL.
Whoa, tell us more about
was that the XFL?
So, it was in the 80s, I think, right?
Oh no, the XFL was more recent than that.
No, not the XFL. Donald Trump created. I mean, it sounds so insane because, or it doesn't. I mean, basically, what ended up happening is I think it lasted for about a year, or maybe like half a year. And, like I said, it was during the 80s, which the NFL was already, wildly popular as a league or as a pro football league. And so he wanted to, him and some investment group wanted to create a competing product. And they came up with this league, and it failed. And he then tried to sue the NFL. And I don't think he got any money, but he tried to say that they created a monopoly. So
holy shit.
So part of me is like, oh, maybe this is like 10% him being like, I still got beef with the NFL.
I mean, his entire politics is based on resentment and grudges.
Oh, and beefs. Yeah, he's got beefs, man.
and now he thinks he's the biggest dog in the room.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think he's like, yeah.
I got it here. It's called the United States Football League.
Yeah, the USFL.
The USFL. This is very pertinent because the logo is just an American flag in the shape of the letters USFL.
Yeah.
And yeah, it played for 3 seasons in 1983 to 1985 or some such thing.
Okay.
Or yeah, and that's all that really needs to be said about that. That's
the USFL. See, now I have heard of that, but I had no idea what it actually meant until right now.
Yeah.
So there.
Yeah, he was involved. You know.
So
Probably.
that's fascinating that this is potentially stems from some strange.
I believe
scheme
that
Trump
is
had.
like that could definitely be an underpinning. Like, you know, his good old boy network got slapped down by the NFL, and now he has a position of power, so he'll just tweak their nose, you know. And
Yeah, it's like I said. I think it might be a factor or something like, or just like it's so bizarre because. What I was going to say about ownership, like standing behind some of the players, is, you know, Robert Kraft, the owner of the Patriots, released that statement today, you know, saying if any player wants to express themselves, you know, and kneel or protest, then he's completely supportive of the players.
Wow.
And also, you know, definitely went at Trump and said, like, you know, don't fuck with my business. Like, you know, like, or, you know, he was just like, it's upsetting to hear the president talk about, you know,
how we should do
and,
business. Yeah.
Yeah, and so the other, you know, complexity to, like, you know, his relationship to the NFL specifically is that him and Robert Kraft were, like, you know, good friends, or maybe they aren't still, but so Robert Kraft donated $1 million to Trump's campaign.
Yeah, didn't he bring him in for like an ambassadorship, or there was rumors of that at least? Because he was one of the first people in that week to go to Trump Towers after he got elected and had a meeting with Trump.
Okay, so there was a possible cabinet position or something?
Oh, I think they have a tie through Robert Kraft's wife dying, too. And I know that he's gone on record saying that Trump was definitely there for him through that point of his life specifically.
Yeah.
But he and Tom Brady, I think, have had a falling out. Because Tom didn't go to the White House, and he didn't even mention Tom's name, and Tom's obviously one of the greatest NFL players in history. So it was odd.
Exactly. And his wife was like, "Don't talk politics in the house anymore."
Right.
She said,
Holy shit.
Well, Tom had the Trump hat. The Trump hat in the beginning, "Make America Great Again," was a big deal.
Yeah, it was in his locker as they were interviewing him in the locker room, I think, right?
Correct.
Okay, they had the MAGA hat hanging behind him.
Yeah, and like the people who were filming picked it up. You know?
Brady was a backup at one point, wasn't he? Wasn't that the thing that they brought him in and he was a killer?
Drew Bledsoe.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Cinderella story.
Yep.
So, all right, so now, you know, we've gone through Kaepernick. He was the first one to take a knee here. From Kaepernick to today, I feel like there was a handful of other people that did throughout the months between that and then after the statement. Just to bring us up to date here, now we have an explosion of players
Right.
who are all kneeling as teams, you know.
Like I was telling Crunch Dog earlier, the Steelers, did you see this? They didn't even come out.
Yep.
Villanueva
Yep.
came out as a Marine, and he was the only one to come out of the tunnel.
Yeah, and I can't remember who they played today, but the other team didn't come out either.
Well, you know what? The Pittsburgh Steelers definitely didn't show up because they got beat by Buffalo or somebody who they shouldn't have beat. who should?
Yeah.
So they were hiding in shame, whereas the other team was taking a political stance.
I don't know.
And
Well, I think there was also another game where two other teams also did not come out of the tunnel and onto the field. So they did the same thing. Basically, what I was thinking about today is I was like, this has to be like organized. You know, and the NFL, the players union, is pushing back a ton. So I don't know if it's organized through that necessarily. That might just be speculation, or there's like, you know, people texting each other and, you know, they're deciding they want to get organized. And then the other thing that just happened, just to like broaden it out to like all pro sports, is that, you know, the first player in Major League Baseball kneeled during the anthem today.
Oh, I did not know that.
Okay.
Who was it?
Yeah. I think I can't remember what position he plays, but he's on the Oakland A's.
Okay.
so
That
so,
was a marker, you know, like it happened today for MLB.
okay.
So,
So
yeah.
Well, could infect across all sport. I don't mean infect like it's a bad thing, actually. That's a pretty negative word. But, maybe it will spread through. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, talking about all the social injustice, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't know why everyone gets so upset about that.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, like I said, they're human beings. They can express themselves. I mean, it's probably been like the past couple of years because I was like super into sports when I was like a teenager and a kid, and it's like probably like a lot of men. Like it's like one of the things I can talk to my father about and like not want to like strangle each other sometimes. But I mean, it's just so basically what I mean to say is like I was super into it, and then sometimes I think about like there's a pitcher on the Red Sox who is like one of the highest paid players in Major League Baseball, and he gets like $30 million a year. And like it seems like for a while he was hurt, maybe he wasn't as hurt as everybody thought he was, and then he just like shut it down. And I was kind of like, millionaire crybaby type. What I mean to say is I've had those thoughts about like professional athletes or whatever, but.
There's that sentiment too, where I can understand a segment of the population being like, you know what, you get paid millions of dollars to play in the United States of America. You wouldn't get this deal anywhere else. The least you can do is stand up and salute the flag, just like every other American should.
Right.
But those people probably haven't felt any sort of, racial tension in their life.
No, those are the people that voted for Trump. A lot of those people voted for Trump.
Yeah, to go into what we're talking about now is sort of the conservative reaction to this, which is really interesting. What I'm seeing is them turning a protest statement against police brutality and the overall black experience in America and twisting that into a statement about the American flag or
and
America itself. Yeah, freedom of speech is getting called into question because of the pay scale of these people. I think some of that has to do with the statement that Kaepernick himself made after the first kneel, where they interviewed him, and I don't know how eloquent of a public speaker he really is or claims to be, but he said something like, well, I don't want to support a country that kills black people at the rate that it's killing them or whatever.
But he was wearing Castro t-shirts also.
So he was wearing some Castro t-shirts.
And piggy socks.
Piggy socks?
Like socks with pigs on them.
Ah, okay. So I think I
don't think he's the brightest bulb of the bunch, is what I'm trying to say.
Sure.
But that doesn't change the fact that he has the right to, get his message out there, as stupid as it may be. Or as ineloquently put as it can be, because he's not...
Yeah.
I think he's improved now that that's all he can do, and he's not playing football anymore. But...
And it gets to this sort of hyper-politicized atmosphere where it becomes a assault on the flag and assault on America when somebody just simply says, no, the lives of a certain segment of the population are endangered right now, and I want to bring awareness to that. And I don't know if...
Well, their voices aren't being heard. So that's one way that they can't voice it either, but they are voicing it with their action.
Yeah. So the NFL is going to suffer. CBS is going to suffer. Do you think that we're going to actually have a conversation about police brutality at any point? And that's a question.
What do you mean?
In the national discourse or whatever. Do you think this is going to be an effective way of bringing this issue to the forefront?
Well, I think that it's evolving now, or like you said, it was like an explosion, and all the different players who this Sunday decided to sort of come forward and protest in this way. I think it's definitely a reaction to like Trump being president.
Well, we know that it's a direct reaction to actually what he said. I mean, you can only call some guys sons of bitches, sometimes it's only once. And then they'll just, you're done. But I don't know. I mean, I think it's good. honestly. I think it's good because it has to be said. I think that talk has begun, but I mean, it needs to. It's not resonating, I think, the right way. I think people are, like you're saying, Crunch Dog, they're kind of taking the message and twisting it with whatever they have in front of them to try to deflect away from the real issue, which is, well, no, we need to retrain our police force. We need to make sure that this shit doesn't happen because it's a problem. It is a problem, no matter what anybody wants to say. It's obviously a problem. So,
I mean, I am agreeing with that 100%, and I would say that the people and the shootings that have happened in the past, or it just seems like there's been a lot of a lot of them, but I think it's being discussed already. I was like, we'll see what happens when the next one happens. And it's like, what the fuck,
You would think, for me, that body cameras would solve a lot of this. I mean, something that they can't, and I understand that, like in the Bennett case recently in the NFL, where it sounds like, I don't know, that whole situation was pretty convoluted. But either way, the police officer in question did not have his body camera on that day. And I mean, that should just sort of be standard operating procedures. That's why they don't need to, it should never be he said, she said. It should be refer to the video.
Right. Yeah, and I think there's definitely multiple instances of them shutting off the camera, right?
Oh, yes, it's sort of a choice. They don't, well, it's something that it's like the police union doesn't want to accept, and for a million different reasons. Unions always have reasons to put their hands up in their own way. But to me, it's just sort of, it should be a common sense issue where it's like there is a problem. If we use this and everyone uses this, then this should solve the problem. There could be technical malfunctions every once in a while with the camera, but you would say 9 times out of 10, you don't have to go through, what happened? You would go through the door on this man's chest. You would see what happened inside of the room. You would hear everything that was said, and it would sort of open and shut the case, I would hope.
Yeah, no, I would think that would too. I remember something happened maybe in the past 2 or 3 months in Baltimore where they planted drugs.
Yeah, I saw that
outside of a building, and then flipped the camera off. But it captured them planting the drugs anyways.
Yeah, they didn't know that the camera operated by recording 30 seconds earlier than when you turn it on. So the camera's really always on and always recording, but it's not writing to the disc until you hit the button. But when you hit the button, it gives 30 seconds prior to hitting the button, and they caught them planting drugs on somebody's property and then going in and quote unquote finding the drugs and arresting the person. Oh, so now all these cases in Baltimore are getting overturned because of situations like that. And yeah, it's crazy and good if they're gonna be doing shady shit like that. Well,
abuse of power shouldn't be a revelation to anyone. I mean, we obviously don't want it, but I mean that happens.
But this is
every level.
Dirty Harry, this is real life, and I'm saying it shouldn't be like that. Regardless of whether it is.
I was gonna say, but it is real life that police officers are trying to make a name for themselves and do things.
Michael, what is the vibe like at these games now when people are kneeling? What have you seen as far as the crowd and the overall atmosphere at these games when this is going on?
Because I did see Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks got booed, I thought, today in...
Go ahead.
Oh, did he kneel?
Yeah.
Okay. But then, Captain America, Tom Brady did the arm lock.
Yep.
He didn't do full kneel. But yeah, I mean, I think it's like any wedge issue. Friggin' it's going to be divided. I mean, I can just tell you on Facebook, all my friends that are pro police and actually are policemen and firemen and. I feel like lots of families have people that have been in the military, whether it's your grandfather or someone close to you, a cousin, whatever, a close friend. Most
Oh, I mean, that's
Yeah.
ingrained in me. I when the national anthem comes on at whatever sporting event I am, I'm looking around. If you get your hat on, I'll try to catch your eye and be like, take your hat off, just because, right? My grandfather was a colonel, and the whole 9 yards. I mean, but that's only for me, But there is a large segment of our population that obviously feels that way, that wants to respect America, that loves our country. But I don't think that just because these guys are kneeling doesn't mean they don't love our country. They just don't love how they feel there's so much racism within our police force. So, you got to stand up for yourself too. That's the other part about America, is that you have to stand up for yourself, or you'll get run over.
Yeah. So we're seeing a mixed crowd. Half the crowd's booing and half the crowd's cheering for this action. And I feel like it does split the definition of patriotism in half a little bit. You have one group saying, no, it is patriotic to kneel because you're exercising your right to free speech, you're defending citizens of America who are being treated unjustly. And then the other group is saying, no, it's not patriotic because, whether you like it or not, our vets have died for this flag, which is a symbol of America, and therefore your action is anti-American.
And I have to say that I agree with both points.
Okay.
Can you? I
Yeah,
don't know.
you
I think they're both valid.
This is WikiLeaks on weed, man. You can agree with whatever the fuck you want.
Well, I mean, it's true. Both of them are true.
Yeah.
So you aren't wrong. They're both right.
Right.
But
How about the fact that there's like 325 million plus people in the country, and like we're never gonna agree on anything.
Yeah.
Or multiple points can be right. Always.
Yeah.
Which is just like, yeah. So.
That's why Republicans and Democrats suck.
Right. I mean, it's the same thing that you're saying, I guess, which is that I totally respect people in my family that were in the military and feel very, very strongly about this, and issues like this, and then also, policemen, firemen, whatever, people in positions of authority.
Yep.
The other thing is, like, they say it is a very dangerous job, and I think that it is. To be a police officer, like, it must be fucking crazy, like.
Well, it must be hard to find the right people to do it, because in some places you need more than you don't, but it's I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the police as far as just my personal interactions with them. I found that a lot of them are kind of high school bullies that didn't go to college, and I'd rather have every police officer be ex-military, and that's kind of the way it is anyways. That gets you your first boot in the door.
Yeah.
But I'd rather have them, had been over in a foreign country and dealing with, that sort of social craziness, to just be able to come back here and be like, this is not a big deal, guys. You calm down, well, let's just move on with our day. I've dealt with bigger shit than this. Everyone calm the fuck down.
Yeah.
Instead of, this is my first time, like the one in Minnesota with the Native American officer who,
the Philander Castle shooting, who just lost his shit and shit.
Yeah, because he was probably he probably pulled his piece when he shouldn't have, and he was shaking, and then the guy did something, and the freaking gun went off, and he didn't know what to do anymore. He shit his pants and killed somebody.
Seven times.
Bam, 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 bam. Right. Once the first one goes off, he probably lost his,
Yeah.
Right. But that's because that guy wasn't trained. He'd never fired his gun before. That's what I don't like. It's like, I've never fired my gun before. It's like, well, fuck. You're not going to be a very good cop if you have to.
Yeah.
Right. It was. I listened to. Well, I watched the video, and I listened to the interaction and like what happened after the shooting of in Minnesota, Castile. That was in it. Philando.
Yeah.
Castile. So, I mean, immediately after shooting, like you said, the cop sounded like terrified. And like he was shitting his pants.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this does not sound good. This is, yeah. But I don't know. It's it must be. If you're in these interactions, they must be so high stress. Like if you're like someone's opening their car window, and I don't know. Do you think they get like PTSD?
Oh, they must.
I would assume you do. Any type of situation like that. That could be what happens. But that's again, that's why I would rather have a police officer that's not his first time ever doing that. I don't want to. I don't want him popping his cherry. When he's doing whatever when he's supposed to be doing his job, but he's too amped up about. Well, do I need to pull my sidearm? What's this person doing? Because it is high stress, like you're saying. I mean, and that's what they teach you. Every single time you pull somebody over, that's a potentially life-threatening situation for you, the police officer. Yeah. But what we're learning is that
I want them to already have PTSD when they're on the job.
Yeah.
They're gonna be ex-military.
Kind of. I mean, if you're gonna end up with it anyways, at least start with everything already set, so that you have your counselor that you go see every Wednesday, and everything's okay. Instead of.
I mean, it's interesting. I definitely wonder how rigorous the training is, and how much is covered as far as just like cultural. I don't even know what you would call it, training, or just like. I don't know.
Well, my cousin recently became a cop in fucking Camden, New Jersey, which is just a hellhole if you're a cop. And he was like, I passed the academy. I was texting with him, and I was like, well, just don't kill any unarmed teenagers, and we'll be cool. And he wrote back like, LOL, no, we get a lot of training on that. Don't worry about that. It's not going to be like that. So I was like, okay, well, that's good to hear. Taking him at his word, I guess that's promising. But I don't know the inner workings of what's going on. My understanding of what happened with Darren Wilson and Mike Brown is that after that shooting, if you're a cop, you basically get pulled into a room alone with like a lawyer and a police union member, and they're just like drilling you on like, here's what you're going to do, here's what you're going to say, and you're just going to hold this line. And he had that fucking 60 Minutes interview or whatever with Darren Wilson.
I saw that.
Yeah, where he was just like, he should have complied. It's 100% Mike Brown's fault. And I have to believe that they're coached on how to respond in a situation like that.
Oh, because it's beyond them. It's the whole police force that they're speaking for. So yes, they have to.
Yeah. And that's the so-called thin blue line or whatever it is that, It
is what it is. I've always thought that it would be better, when you get out-of-town people or people that aren't part of the community, I think you'd be more effective as part of the community being a police officer within it, so that when you pull somebody over, your chances of actually knowing that person is much better than, if you're, 3 towns over, coming in, in a lily white neighborhood, let's say, coming into a predominantly black neighborhood to become a police officer. That might not be the best if you could find, a police officer from within that community, I don't care what he looks like, who would have a better idea of the flow instead of being the disruption or.
It's interesting. My cousin's history was a EMT before he was a cop.
That must suck even more.
Yeah, so I think he has some experiences. He told me about one experience where he was the only person there with this girl who was in a car accident and basically was with her through her last moments. And he was like, that stuck with me. That's going to stick with me forever. I'm never going to forget that. So I feel like he's already got some of that trauma, that, let's call it useful trauma, when it comes to a situation like that.
That sounds like a decent progression. Become an EMT first, get some blood on your hands, either way, having to deal with what can happen, dealing with gunshot wound victims and knowing, how that all works. Will make you think twice when you pull out your sidearm if you feel like you have to discharge your weapon, that you're only going to do that in the right circumstance.
Yeah. So circling back to the NFL here, Michael, what has Pandora's box been opened now? Like, is the culture around the NFL changing, and is watching football now going to become, hyper politicized? And is there any going back from this, do you think? What's your thoughts on that?
I think that it is, I think today shows that it's more politicized than was last week or, last year or, when Kaepernick first did what he did. So it seems like there's some momentum for sure that's happening. And then, like I said, it's not just the NFL. There's the other thing that happened with Steph Curry, who won a championship with the Golden State Warriors, and said he didn't want to go to the White House, right? And then Trump tweeted out and said, "Well, you've been disinvited." Yeah. So then LeBron James, who's consensus is either the best or one of the best players.
The entire economy of Cleveland.
Yeah, exactly. The entire economy of Cleveland, and the best player of his generation, and
the face of the NBA for sure right now.
Yeah, the face of NBA. He came out and called Donald Trump a bum on Twitter today. So he said, "You bum, you can't." I don't think he said it this way, but it's like, "You can't break up with me. I broke up with you."
Okay, yeah, that's absolutely a Trump move to do that.
Yeah.
And I think it's awesome that you can call the president a bum on Twitter now, because that Pandora's box has been open for so long now that, we should all be able to hate tweet the president as much as we want.
Somebody posted Trump's timeline on Twitter and said, "Oh, Trump's timeline is just him bitching about the NFL interspersed with him threatening North Korea with nuclear war."
Right.
It's basically like that type of thing. Yeah.
The NFL is kind of a little screwy. Well, as far as, how they do take advantage of their players so much more than every other sport. Like in Major League Baseball, you sign a contract, that money is guaranteed. Every single dollar. It doesn't matter if you break your leg tomorrow, you're going to get paid all that money. In football, which CTE has obviously become something in the forefront, there have been people that have been destroyed physically on the field, either by one hit or by multiple hits.
Yeah.
And if you get hurt and you can't play, then you don't get paid. You're out of the league.
Speaking of contracts, that the NFL is very much in bed with, like, the military-industrial complex. They have government contracts with the Air Force to do the flyovers.
They pay them. I couldn't believe that they pay the NFL to do that.
Really?
I mean, well, So it's very much all mixed up in this shit soup kind of. Or they're a business interests. And maybe that's contributing to why it's being so politicized and all this,
Yeah, the idea is Crunch Dog, right? That they're recruiting. When they do the flyover, the NFL is allowing them to do an advertisement for the Air Force. So they pay them, $500,000 to do stuff.
That was one thing I noticed in the 2014 Super Bowl or the 2013 Super Bowl. There was an ad, and Michael, you and I had talked about this off the pod. There was an ad for just a defense contractor during the Super Bowl. And it was like, who are you marketing to? Like, there's not going to be some chud watching the NFL that's going to say,
ex-military.
It's definitely military-industrial complex, but it's just them sort of dominating the conversation and just saying, yeah, we're here. And they're not going to sell, they're not going to sell erectile dysfunction pills to people or beer to people. So that was really interesting, and I didn't quite...
Wait, you just confused me. That's exactly what they sell to people.
Well, no, I know. I'm saying it wasn't one of those ads. It was just like... It was like seeing an ad for Raytheon during the Super Bowl, but it wasn't Raytheon. It was this other people from the Southwest.
Oh, okay.
Wade Boggs did a Raytheon ad in the late 80s, early 90s. I found it on YouTube.
Holy shit.
Pretty great.
We'll probably do the cold open with that ad.
He was one of the most disappointing things that I found out when I was like an adult, how much of a kind of a piece of crap he was, because I loved him so much. I thought he was the best hitter ever. I grew up right around his time. I was 12 when he was hitting 330 every year, and now it's like,
people are spectacular athletes, they're just dickheads.
Ran line drives.
Yeah, just hitting the wall, just playing patty cake. But yeah, then he turns out to be a tremendous bag of crap. So.
Well, I guess the thing that I heard about him that is his craziest and also funniest is his beer drinking.
Yeah, 24 on a flight. Oh shit, right? Something
No,
ridiculous.
I thought it was like 110.
Oh yeah, no, in one sitting. I heard that story too. Yes.
Which doesn't seem, possible. I don't think the body could do that. So maybe it's just the myth, it just grew to, this crazy, into this crazy story. But then I also heard that Charlie Day from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is a huge baseball fan. And I think maybe they had Wade Boggs on the show, or they crossed paths somehow, and he asked him to, confirm the story. And actually what it was Charlie Day was like, did you really drink 80 beers on a road trip on a flight from Boston to, Anaheim or Los Angeles? He was like, no, that's not true. It was actually 110 beers. So, yeah.
Holy shit.
Well, that time doesn't work. You can't drink 110 beers in 4 hours.
You can if you're an absolute perfect specimen of athleticism, which Wade Boggs is clearly.
No, I had that same thought though. I was like, yeah, the math doesn't work. You can't drink 100 beers in a 4 or 5 hour.
No, but he probably had like 4 30-packs in his hotel room, and somebody was like, "There's no way you're gonna drink all that before we leave this hotel room," and he did it.
Yeah. Also, I heard he was incredibly superstitious.
Yes.
In terms of his pregame meal, he had to just have boiled chicken with no seasoning or spices or anything. And the same thing every time before every game.
Baseball players are definitely superstitious.
And
definitely. That's
every
why
game is 100 games per season or something like that. Not
162.
That's you know what? That's what'll catch it on kneeling in baseball. Like the first guy that kneels, and then that day he goes out and goes 4 for 4. He's gonna kneel every day after that. I have to. It doesn't matter. I don't care who's president anymore. I have to kneel, guys. I have to.
Yeah.
It'll happen.
It will. Oh, speaking of, Major League Baseball, John Farrell also, I think it was during the post-game interview after the game today, which, by the way, they came back and beat the Reds, which was awesome. Nice. I was flipping between that and the Patriots game today, but...
It kind of sucks that they have to keep coming back against the Reds, though, I gotta say. But I'm glad that they make these comebacks.
You know what, though? Playoff teams that are going to advance win close one-run games, and the Red Sox seem like they're doing that these past couple weeks.
Yep.
So it seems like they're hitting their stride. But anyways, John Farrell came out and said, if any player, I don't even think I said this already, but he said, if any player who wants to express themselves and kneel can. Did I already say that?
No,
said,
but I think that makes sense that probably all the Boston teams will probably end up doing that, just because it's Massachusetts and, we are blue.
Can we also just talk about for 60 seconds how fucking weird it is that the Boston Celtics overhauled their roster in the offseason, and they got a couple great players, a couple all-star players, and one of those players who they got from Cleveland, Kyrie Irving, is a flat earther.
Yes. I know, I've heard this. I think he's fucking with people, though.
Is he?
I don't know. He's on a new reality show, too, I think.
Oh, he is? Flavor of Kyrie?
No, it's him with two other personalities. I just saw a quick blurb on it the other day, and I didn't even recognize him because he was in regular clothing, and it was just oh, I'm Kyrie Irving. He was the last person. I was like, what? Maybe it's not true. Who knows? But he is an odd nut, that's for sure. I've heard him defend the flat Earth statements, where it's just abominable what he would actually say. It hasn't been proved to me. Mm-hmm. All the images from space are lies.
They're all CGI.
Yes.
I'm just scrolling.
I just think it's crazy that he would. I mean, it could just be you said, attention seeking, or he's just fucking with people. But yeah, it's just wacky,
I guess. Yeah, I mean, this is.
Well, the whole world used to think that way. Remember?
I know.
Then that fucking Magellan had to come along and ruin it for everybody.
No, the fucking Greeks knew that shit. The Greeks knew that, and then they've forgot it in the Dark Ages. And yeah, they figured all that shit out like really early on. They did the diameter of the Earth down to like a few feet using like the shadows. Like
doesn't like the horizon line or horizon prove that the Earth is not flat? Like, or am I an idiot?
No, if you watch a ship go away, you see the hull disappear first, then the mast, then the sail.
Well, if you had an instrument where you could see long enough, I do that at work. So for every mile, you drop 6 inches. So if you were to run elevation through stuff, you'd find it.
Yeah. And like, no, in Greece, Larry's a surveyor, so he'll get this analogy here. Like, in Greece, they measured, at noon, they measured the shadow, and then they had somebody else at the same time measure the shadow somewhere else. And they did a bunch of fucking trigonometry and figured out, like, oh, the Earth is 12,000 miles around, and they did like a simple arithmetic or simple algebra equation and figured it out. And now we have people being like, no, there's a dome over us, and they're using perfectly timed light shows to trick us into doing that, and all the things are CGI. Yeah. That's the vibe. Is just,
one of my favorites, going back to baseball, is our old friend Carl Everett, who didn't believe in dinosaurs.
Okay, I remember that. Yes. Yeah. He was legit. Like, I think he had some emotional issues, or mental emotional issues. I remember him having like a good proper freak out.
Oh yeah, couple times.
Yeah, like on a call to strike 3, he like smashed his helmet, and like it looked like he was gonna kill the Empire.
Oh.
And yeah, didn't he headbutt like an ump with the bill of his? Yeah, and he got tossed for. I loved him. I thought he was great on the field.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's very aggressive.
Yeah, good power. I liked him. Stood right on the plate. I would have hit him so many times if I pitched at him. Yeah. But no, I just thought, it's like there's all these ideas out there. It's like, why do you have to pick that one? It's like, I don't know, and it could just be bullshit, and he's just doing it just to do it. But yeah. That sounds like we're coming full circle as to why Trump said they should fire those sons of bitches. Such a weird thing to say. And now I was just thinking about this again. This 1 to 8% number that we found in 2 seconds, and all the media that Trump likes to get involved in. I mean, is he watching that number like Burns from The Simpsons, just steepling his fingers together, just going as he watches the stocks fall in the NFL? Is he trying to? He's
either shorting Disney and CBS or something, or I think he just has Fox stock, because he's always tweeting about like, great show this morning, Fox and Friends, and stuff. Just basically like advertising for Fox on his Twitter feed and getting like 68,000 retweets. And just watching the Fox number soar, which is like totally like manipulation of the stock, like just breaking rules and breaking the Twitter terms of service left and right. And
he's like the Starship Enterprise. He boldly goes where no one has gone before.
Yeah. He's in fucking the dark dimension or some shit.
He's Jean-Luc de Trump.
What about, this is something I think about, and I'm probably, I don't even know, I haven't even really thought about I'm not able to think about the idea completely because I don't know freaking legality or anything like that. But
then you're on the right show.
Yeah, so don't you think there should be some sort of restrictions or thresholds or something for those in the business world that run for elected office in terms of what their holdings are?
Or am
I crazy to think that? But isn't he why did he want to become president?
We don't know. You do have to sign everything over to a blind trust, but even he bucked at that, where he is supposed to have no contact anymore with his businesses, and that's why he had to give it to his sons and his family.
Yeah.
Even though they're kind of part of...
doesn't he have something like 500 different companies or something, or own stock and
Yeah, definitely a number like that as far as holdings and business ownerships that he has, for sure.
Did he actually go into the blind trust scenario?
No. There was that interview where you were telling me about this, Larry. The reporter was like, so are you going to sign your stuff over to the blind trust? And he was like, no, I'm going to give it to my sons. And she was like, no, that's not a blind trust. And it ended up with the reporter being like, I'm not the one who doesn't understand what a blind trust is, sir. Like,
Oh my God! No, I guess I'm just thinking about like, he has this business background and like all the real estate and all this stuff. It's just like, and he seems like he would be so open to being manipulated and bribed, and like he has like international business holdings everywhere, and like billions of dollars and money coming in from all different places, and I don't know.
His sons do now. That's the point.
Of course.
Right now, Trump Industries is all his sons, at least until he's done. But I hear what you say. But right, it's minutia. But
his reputation or how he got here is is all of that.
You're right. Should people be able to build empires and then become president in the United States? Maybe that doesn't make any sense.
I guess something I think about sometimes is like I'm comparing him against the previous president who, I don't think anybody's right 100% of the time, but like his background was like community organizing.
yeah.
And like he just seemed like he had a lot more empathy and like, which I think you would want in terms of like a quality in a leader.
Yeah.
And Trump is just like, I mean, I can say he's an asshole, and you can say, well, you can still be an asshole and be president. It's like, yeah, so he's such an asshole.
As a thought experiment, I always compare that billionaire of Trump being president to like another billionaire in
Ross Perot?
No, Mark Zuckerberg comes up a lot because he's doing that like 50 states tour now, and it's like obvious he's like preparing for some sort of political aspiration, even though he boldly claims that he's not, like very plainly says, no, I have no political aspirations. And I don't think I would want...
Trump did the same thing since like the 80s.
Yeah. I don't think I would want Zuckerberg to be president either. It's just you have, especially with something like Facebook, you have so much power in that platform that it just doesn't seem right. I personally think we should be sticking with career politicians to be a politician.
I mean, not that I want Tom Brady to retire, but when Tom Brady does retire, I hope he runs for president because I'll vote for him.
Okay.
I might.
He's got that CTE though, that nasty.
He doesn't have
CTE
CTE. Oh no, he has TB12. He wants to, make cornflakes not a food anymore.
What?
Yeah, that whole thing.
What is that whole thing?
Well, he does like his diet, and he's into TB12 is like a factory. It's Alex Guerrero is like his partner in that, who some would claim is a snake oil salesman. Some would claim other things. TB12 is
like
an enterprise.
Like shady nutrition claims or claims about health.
Simple greens, you take pills, you eat. Yes,
Okay.
it's kind of like it's like mind control food supplements. Electrolytes, and you're having to drink, I don't know how many, 300 ounces of water he drinks a day with electrolytes that you can only buy from TB12 for $30, da-da-da-da-da.
So he's in the Jim Baker, Joe Rogan, Alex Jones supplement huckster business.
I'm only kidding. I actually wouldn't vote for him for president now that I'm remembering all these things. But yeah, no, he's actually go worse. He's actually kind of a Tony Robbins guy.
Okay. There's presidential material right there.
Well, him and Edelman went, so right.
Dude, have you ever seen Tony Robbins' hands?
No.
He's a giant. I know that.
Oh, he's enormous. He's like 6'6" or 6'7", 6'8". But his hands are like ridiculous. Like just crush your head.
They're huge.
Yeah. But
I heard that all those things. It's like once you spend like the $75 million to like get the gold, platinum, premium package, that it's just an orgy there, anyways.
What, for Tony Robbins?
Yeah.
At the end of the rainbow is an orgy?
Yeah, no, once you pay to go through those golden ropes or whatever, then it's on. Like
That's
Donkey
chill.
Kong.
I wonder if there's like attractive people there or...
It's all just the Tony Robbins crowd.
Yeah, it's probably just all the same people. Like, yeah, we just always pay $75,000 for this.
I thought they just walk across coals, but who the hell knows? It's probably, you know what, I rewatched, not the whole thing, but I've been thinking about Eyes Wide Shut a lot lately. So,
Cool.
when you said the orgy, that's what that reminded me of, the Eyes Wide Shut scene.
That's true. No, I just heard that as speculation, just because I think all that's a load of crap. They actually didn't when Tony Robbins came at that with the Tom Brady when he went with Julian Edelman and a couple other athletes that they did not do the walk across the coals thing.
Ooh.
No, they didn't. They didn't do that. Some towns won't allow that apparently.
Okay. I was gonna speculate and say maybe it's like for fear of injury or whatever. Like they don't want their
Yes.
professional athletes walking across hot coals, but yeah.
I might issue a statement as a coach, being like, I would recommend not.
No, I don't think it was available. No, for anybody at this particular event.
Oh.
I don't think it's available at every event to walk across coals. They have to be probably out in Omaha or Southwest Kansas to do that. I have no idea.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
We need to do some embedded journalism and get into a Tony Robbins.
So enough about Tom Brady being embedded journalism
No, go ahead.
with Tom Brady. That would be fun. Yeah, I wouldn't get anything done. I'd be so starstruck. But I would not vote for him for president. I don't think. I was only kidding about that. I think we should continue on with politicians being elected to do political things. But I would like to have new politicians. I don't like sort of the old crusty regime that doesn't ever have to leave because they're in a place that always votes them in. You know, I hear some of our representatives talk about the island of Guam and how if we put too many soldiers on it, it might capsize. And you just wonder why the fuck is this guy in charge of anything?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of those out there.
Wait, that was a Trump quote?
No, that was I can't remember the guy's name, but it's an insane quote, and he just said it almost like you can wish that he didn't really believe it.
Okay. This was Congressman Hank Johnson on March 25th, 2010 says he fears Guam will tip over. So yeah. That's confirmed.
Yeah.
Wait, is he still no, I'm looking at it. He's still in the U.S.
Yeah, he's still part of the. He's
a House person because the euphemism for House of Representatives is Congressman, even though Congress is both the House and Senate because House is less than Senate, so you say Congressman. So.
Less than.
Yeah.
So
he definitely wasn't making a joke or some weird context or something.
No, this was.
Yeah, no, this is true. This is.
He wasn't being interviewed. No, he kind of came up and made a statement, as a statement. And there's a lot of others like that. I just wish that our political system would have a little overturn in just sort of. I would like a little bit more youth. I would like a little bit more people with enough ideology to be able to have a more informed discussion instead of just like we always talk about, just one side trying to throw balled up flowers and the other side throwing bricks. Because it doesn't really.
Well, that's another definite comparison you can make if you're just comparing Trump to the previous president. Was that how old was Obama when he was elected? I mean, he was fairly young, definitely for a president.
Yeah.
I think he was 40. Hold on, I'm looking at it right now. He was 45, 46.
Yeah, so him and JFK were probably the youngest.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a threshold for you have to be 35 or 40.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Trump he just had a birthday. He's 71. So.
Okay.
So he's got that going for him, which is nice.
Well, we've already highlighted his doctor on this show too. If you haven't seen who's Trump's, do you know this gentleman?
Yeah. Didn't wasn't there speculation that Trump wrote the statement for the doctor because it used all of his language,
Who knows? I'm pretty sure that guy's on too much acid to know anything else.
Oh, is he was he a hippie or?
He looks like they plucked him out of a fucking music festival.
I know he has long hair, right?
Yeah.
Oh, but when you listen to him, he sounds pretty goddamn goofy too.
Hold on, I'm looking at a picture of him right now.
Yeah, if you just plucked him out of that picture and put him at Burning Man, it would just be like, oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I see that.
You think this guy smokes weed?
Yeah, I think he does. Let's get him on the show.
Well, medicinally. I mean,
Yeah.
he has, he's a caregiver. He's...
Right.
He probably lives in California. I'm going to go 100% he lives in
No,
California.
he's a New York guy, I bet.
Oh, really?
That's like
Yeah.
part of the whole Trump posse, is it's all like New Yorkers, like Scaramucci and all those guys were all just like New York people.
New York pricks.
Yeah.
They probably all laugh.
Hey.
They probably all laugh about the weed thing, though, because I mean, you can just call and have it delivered to you in fucking 20 minutes in New York. It's.
Yeah.
Right. Or you can go to any corner store, a bodega, and it's like they have shops set up.
Yes.
It's like,
Yeah. It's,
what strain do you want? It's like, well,
Isn't that? Yeah.
oh,
yeah. So they laugh. They aren't even legalized, right? New York.
Who knows? I don't even know right now.
What doesn't even matter is the point.
yeah. Yeah.
I don't think Trump will ever get behind that.
No, and that's mostly Sessions.
Well, he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, very anti-drug.
Yeah, but that's very anti sort of budgetary capitalism, I would think. I mean, just the tax revenue alone. I just don't understand why, booze, beer, the whole 9 yards is a significant portion of, well, we're talking a couple percent, but I mean, that's still a fairly significant amount. And you're going to find the same thing with marijuana, because it's just another recreational drug. It's not, everyone likes to talk about it being a gateway drug, but we all know that beer is the gateway drug.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously, it would be huge revenues.
What I'm seeing in
What the hell?
Massachusetts now. Oh, go ahead.
What the hell, with Colorado, because it's, all those businesses, they have to operate using cash only.
Yeah. Yeah, because the federal banks, all the banks are federalized, so they won't touch it.
Right.
That's fucking dumb.
Yeah.
Or, like, it's just in that in-between place, maybe. Or, like, I don't know.
Because it's not
Eventually
federally legal. It's only legal in the state of Colorado, so the banks won't do anything with that money because it's not federally legal, so they can't insure it, I think, is what
But
the big thing
that
is.
will spread throughout other states, though, because of all the money that is coming into that state through it.
Yeah, what I was going to say is...
I know it's slowing, but I mean, it's
Yeah.
still good.
what we're seeing in Massachusetts is the NIMBY thing, the not in my backyard thing. So all the different municipalities in Massachusetts are all now voting on whether they want a dispensary there because it's recreationally legal in Massachusetts, and they're just figuring out the legislation and everything. So people are saying, oh, well, we can have legal marijuana in Massachusetts, but we're not going to sell it in my town, right? I mean, let's just do that over in Gloucester. Or, Beverly can do that, or whatever, Lowell. So you're seeing a lot of that, too, which is fairly interesting.
Well, I believe in states' rights. Towns can vote.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
fine with that.
it's
what I
fine. It's
mean?
more
If
just the
it's that
behavior
important to you
yeah.
to live in a town that has dispensaries, then you can go fucking live there.
We have a democratic process that you can utilize to
Yeah.
make your... Yep.
Yeah.
Or we can just hate tweet North Korea continually. One or the other.
Yeah. All right, then. Any closing thoughts, Michael, on what we should be looking for in the NFL moving forward here?
I really, Michael, I want to just throw this in too, that I'm glad that you had the info. I didn't know that anyone kneeled in Major League Baseball. For me, I think it's good that it's spreading, and good bit there. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was pretty pleased when I heard about that today. Just like it's all happening today, basically. I mean, I guess final thought would be, I think it's definitely going to continue to spread. I actually didn't watch the night game because they have an 8 o'clock game. Do you know if I'm sure players kneeled.
I would assume they did. I did not see it. I only caught a few little minutes of it. Yeah.
I gotcha. So I mean, I'll in terms of viewership being down and everything that we talked about, I mean, I'm going to continue to watch football. It looks good on my big TV, so I'm going to go ahead and continue to watch football.
That makes you a liberal now.
Oh no, it's America's game. That's our game. They don't get to touch it.
Yeah.
Yes. Do you think it's more than baseball now?
What? Well,
I mean, I'm a big baseball guy too, but I mean, football has, I think, taken over.
yeah, I think in terms of what looks best literally like on a TV and like what's most exciting to watch, I think football has it over any other of the four major sports. Baseball, I mean, I can definitely see the point that a lot of people make is like it's so slow. And they've made all those adjustments, in-game adjustments, which I guess are good, but I don't really know how much time they're saving because I've watched Red Sox games this year where they've been well over 3 hours long.
Yeah.
They like to play 15, 16 innings every once in a while, so.
Oh, geez, I mean, come on. I think there's been almost 20 extra inning games this year, but they won almost all of them.
13, yes.
Shit.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that, like you said, that's good going into the playoffs. Good going into the playoffs.
They
for
being
sure.
the motherfucking Boston Red Sox.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We're a little spoiled, but it is what it is.
Yeah. No, we're winners.
Hell yeah.
Like, that was a question because we're talking all about football and Trump and like people in the business world. It's like winning and losing, and that's his whole on The Apprentice and everything. Is there a scoreboard to life? Or in life? You don't even have to answer that.
No. Let's not. Let's actually leave it at that.
All right.
Okay.
And we'll bid you adieu. Thank you so much for calling in.
Yes, Michael, good to talk to you tonight.
All right, good to talk to you too. Crunch Dog Larry, love you.
Love you too. Talk to you soon.
Be good one, man.
Bye. And with that, folks, we will conclude this week's episode of WikiLeaks on Weed. We hope to